What is gravity?
You have no idea. Okay, next question. This is called gravity. We can describe gravity. We can say what it does to other things. This is called gravity.
Neil, I gotta say, you're totally blowing my mind right now.
That's what I do. I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, bitch.
What's up, everybody? John TheMorgile here, coming to you live from Honea Path, South Carolina. I hope y'all are doing well, and I've got a little bit different of a stream planned for y'all today. I've actually got a lot of stuff prepared, but what seems to happen is every time I get too resource intensive on my computer, it just crashes. And since it's just me on this stream, if it crashes, I'm not sure if the stream will keep going until I end it. I think it will. So if I do go, like if I'm in the middle of sharing something with y'all and I just stop all of a sudden, but the stream appears to be continuing, just hang tight, because as long as the stream's still continuing, then that means I had to reboot my computer, start everything back up, and get on. So it might take me 5 minutes, which that was why I was late. So I had a bit of a different intro plan because it dovetailed right into what we are going to talk about today. But for whatever reason, that crashed the system. So I do want to try to do that again now that we're live, and I'm going to need some feedback from y'all just to make sure that that y'all can hear it, because you're not going to need to hear most of it, but I don't know. I just like to make sure that y'all can hear the shit that I'm trying to share, just in case there is something that's pertinent that you need to hear. So anyway, let me try this again. I did have everything queued up prior to showtime, but I think that's what bogged me down and crashed me. So I'm going to try not to have so many things open at once, and we'll see how that goes. But y'all know me, and I'm not the best at multitasking. So let's see here. Here we go. So I'm going to share this one with y'all, and you might just have to sit through the intro again, but oh, hell well. All right. I think this one's a little shorter anyways. So let me share this with you guys, and I will pop in as we go. And I do kind of need to get confirmation that we are even live. So if y'all, oh, here we go. Audio is fine. Oh, thank you, Suzette and La Petite Cecile. I appreciate you. Okay, so let's go ahead and share this video with y'all, fine, lovely people. And I got to remember to speak up and talk to the mic, because the mic is up here. If I try to use the mic on my headset, it's just so much, for some reason, it's a lot of background noise, like a lot of fuzz on this line for some reason. So this seems to be working pretty good. Here we go.
Article that you found was something. Check this out. I got a note from Bathory Article thanking her for a wonderful Saturday evening. Something ain't stirring the Kool-Aid, man.
Wiggles, rewind.
Wiggles.
What the hell does Lis Einhorn have to do with Ray Finkel? Come on, think! Finkel and Einhorn in it together. How? Why? All right, here we go. Answer's right there. Just gotta get some blood to the brain. Finkel and Einhorn, 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 Finkel, Einhorn, Finkel, Finkel. Einhorn and Finkel. Finkel and Einhorn. Winner. What do you want? Huh? I don't have any food for you. I have to have money to buy food. I have to have a dolphin to get the money. I don't see a dolphin around here. Do you?
Oh, poor baby.
Let's face it, your master is a loser. Lil Hill. What the? That's it. That's it. Einhorn is Finkel. Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is a man. Oh my God. Einhorn is a man. She's not Lis Einhorn. She's Ray Finkel. She's a man.
He's lying.
Shut up! Let's just see who's lying, shall we?
Straight stupid, dude.
Would a real woman have to wear one of these? Boy, that's really on there. But tell me this. Would a real woman be missing these? That kind of surgery can be done over the weekend. But I doubt very much if he could find the time during his busy schedule to get rid of big old Mr. Kanish. Oh boy. Ace, come here. Would you excuse me for just 1 second? Ladies and gentlemen, my esteemed colleague, Mr.
I'm assuming y'all can
Ferrando,
hear this too, hopefully.
has just brought some new evidence to my attention. Now, history has certainly shown that even the most intuitive criminal investigator can be wrong from time to time. But if I am mistaken, if the lieutenant is indeed a woman, as she claims to be, then, my friend, she is suffering from the worst case of hemorrhoids I have ever seen!
Ew.
Mhm.
What was that? A pile of poop?
Yeah, okay, so let me skip through this part. No, it wasn't.
Testing, pop impact, bravery is out there. There are millions of victims and survivors out there who've been inspired by your courage. I am. Bravery is contagious.
That is so much.
Indeed, that's the driving force behind the Me Too movement. And you sharing your story is going to have a lasting, positive impact on so many survivors in our country. We owe you a debt of gratitude for that, Doctor. Now, some senators have suggested you were simply mixed up about who assaulted you.
Oh,
And now Judge Kavanaugh in the White House even promoted.
Can I just make sure that y'all can hear the video? And hopefully y'all have already put it in the chat, but let me just check, because this ain't gonna work if y'all can't hear it. So look at okay, good, yeah, awesome. Perfect. So that means y'all can definitely hear this. Okay, sweet. So we'll go right back to it. Sorry about that, y'all.
A wild theory about a Kavanaugh lookalike.
This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics.
I second that
A
notion.
wild theory about a Kavanaugh lookalike. You immediately rejected that theory, as did the innocent man who had been called that lookalike.
Okay, so and hopefully, I'm not sure how this works while I'm sharing my entire screen here, but that's the only way I could get it to where y'all could hear the audio as well. So I'm not sure if y'all can see me at this point. I reckon you probably can. So while this rolls, I'll just give you a little bit of background on what we just watched. That's something that I cut together a few years ago when Brett Kavanaugh was being confirmed for the Supreme Court. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the Supreme Court, it's a lifelong justice appointment, and it's like the most superior court of the entire land. And the Supreme Court justices also come with diced tomatoes and sour cream. That's the main difference. No, but so by the time I got done making these two videos, he had already been confirmed. Okay, so not that I think it would have mattered. And I guess I should be clear. So the woman, Christine Blasey Ford, who was accusing Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault allegations during high school, happens to be like his identical twin in a blonde wig, right down to they have identical ears, they have identical hands, they have identical dimples on their chins, their eyes. It's like a perfect match, like every line of their face matches up. Now they did try to shoot this a little weird. So to back up, it's so bizarre the way that they did this. They had like this whole big, huge Senate hearing, Congress hearing, Senate hearing, something like that. A special prosecutor was hired to basically get all the dirt out in the open on Brett Kavanaugh's sexual assault allegations from many, many, many years ago. Okay, not just Christine Blasey Ford, but other women as well. But this was sort of the most high-profile one, and I got to tell you, and I wasn't the only one to notice this. If y'all are familiar with Mr. E, was the one that originally sort of mentioned this. That got me wanting to look into this specifically because I thought he was wrong. Like I didn't see it at first, honestly. But when you actually go through, and especially this slide right here that y'all are seeing right here, basically, so you're looking at overlay from the same hearing. It's just different times, obviously. And the only thing that changes on these two's profile view of their face is like it just looks like he's blinking when you sort of animate back and forth between the two. Okay. Now, the way that the reason this was so bizarre of a Senate judiciary hearing or whatever the hell it was because they didn't have these two people, these two clearly separate people in the same room at the same time, which is kind of weird for any sort of hearing with judges and things involved and all the senators or congressmen or whoever the hell those boneheads are. But I've never seen it done quite like that, where like they had, I guess it was Blasey Ford first come out, and she spent a few hours, and then they took a break, a couple hours for lunch, and then they came back and did Kavanaugh for a few hours, right? And like each senator got like 5 minutes or whatever, 2 minutes or something really crazy like that. But at the end of the day, you know, it brings up a larger question, like, what is the point of this sort of thing? Like, why would they do this sort of thing? And so, like, on a personal anecdote into Transpocalypse, you know, and a lot of you people already know this, I've mentioned before, but my dad is a tranny. Okay, he decided, you know, when his sons were grown and he was divorced and everything, that he was going to fulfill his lifelong ambition of transitioning into a woman with big old titties and everything, right? Not that he would actually pass as an actual woman in a million years, right? But, you know, I even see him as a victim of this sort of cultural milieu that is geared towards sexually confusing people giving women body dysphoria issues, making people super self-conscious about themselves because they are trying to compare themselves to someone of the opposite gender, right? And to define gender, like what is a man, what is a woman? Well, a man is a person that's born with the XY chromosome and has male sexual reproductive organs. And a woman is a person that's born of the XX chromosome and has female reproductive organs. Now, sure, you do have sort of blends in between the two, and sort of less than 1% of cases where you've got like birth defects, like hermaphrodites or whatever. But other than that, that's what your genders are. Okay. And so why would the government, why would the Mockingbird media want to confuse people and like drive women to suicide because they can't get washboard abs and straight up and down torso, like, all of the models and all the Victoria's Secret and Miss America pageant contestants, right? So, and there's an interesting slide there. I'm not going to have to say a lot about that, but it is interesting that you have these sort of identical doppelgangers found all over the place. It's not just Obama and Osama. It's not just Bush and Manson. It's not just Christine Blasey Ford and Brett Kavanaugh, the Supreme Court justice with extra sour cream. But so I do have that sort of personal connection to Transpocalypse because something that kind of broke my heart and I had I had a lot of trouble dealing with was when like my grandparents told me that it really pissed my dad off when I called him Dad instead of Lisa. I had always sort of respected my grandparents as sort of old school, like pre-boomer era, like the World War II sort of crowd. But and Papu really didn't like it, but he went along with Yaya, with Grandma on that stuff, right? But yeah, I was told under no uncertain terms that like basically I shouldn't even show up to Thanksgiving and that sort of things if I wasn't on board with Lisa, which I'm not. I'm not cool with that. Call me a transphobe, but you grow up with your father your whole life, and then you're supposed to one day start calling him Lisa. And I'm sorry, I just can't get on board with that. I'm not going to cotton to someone's delusions, right? I'm not going to participate in someone's delusions. I think that, maybe that sort of thing can be done under controlled conditions with like a psychiatrist or something. Maybe your psychiatrist can go along with you on your delusions for the sake of argument and therapy, but you can't expect the world to conform to your delusions. And, that's one of the main reasons I think I'm glad that the Harris regime didn't win the election, although they are not quite out of the door yet, are they? But I think that's a big reason I appreciate Trump much more, even though they are sort of two wings of the same beast, the false dichotomy, right? But then again, in my opinion, Trump really isn't a whole lot better, okay? And we can get into that. I know I'm going to piss off a lot of the Trump supporters, but, hypothetically, let's just say hypothetically, for the sake of argument and for the sake of entertainment, what if Trump only ever married transgender men? What if? Okay. That would be kind of weird, and it would kind of go against all of this whole anti-woke thing, wouldn't it? Also, Trump has a big hand in the Miss America pageant, if I'm not mistaken, Miss Universe pageant and those sorts of things, as well as Victoria's Secret. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about Victoria's Secret. Okay, I could be wrong. Okay, but the thing is, though, I just see the mainstream legacy media has been fucking with people's heads sexually, confusing people sexually by doing the whole gender bending thing on the big screen. People are, like when you watch movies or even when you watch the news, you are sort of lulled into an alpha brainwave state where your psychological defenses are at their lowest, right? And so when you're sort of presented with the multiple distractions at the same time that is multimedia, you are more prone to just go along with a narrative and start subconsciously believing things without you really deciding to believe that shit, right? It is a very deep psychological tactic that they've mastered over the years, right? The Mockingbird sort of media, right? And so why would they want to do this? Well, again, it all falls back to this sort of spiritual wickedness, the anti-human agenda, the spiritual wickedness in high places that sort of seems to be running the show above all of these sort of various pyramidal power structures of the world, right? So, if it seems like I have a bit of a mission to expose this thing for what it is. That's why. Okay, I do have sort of a personal connection to Transpocalypse, and it goes much deeper than the psychological manipulation of people on the subconscious level. But when you start doing that sort of thing to children, and exposing children to that sort of thing, that really is it's like unforgivable, right? And they've been sort of rolling out this systemic transgenderification of the youth in the public education system, which of course they would. Why wouldn't they? It all goes back to Baphomet, doesn't it? And Baphomet is sort of the poster boy for the satanic, the satanic movement or whatever. Female breasts, male members. It's like it's a tranny. Baphomet's a tranny is what it is. And they have been emulating that sort of archetype for many generations. Like the whole transgender agenda is not anything new. And we're going to get into a lot of that. I got a bunch of stuff prepared we're going to go through. So I am just sort of talking about Brett Kavanaugh because, of course, Supreme Court justice doesn't just come with tomatoes and sour cream, right? They also are appointed for life. So, just like Taco Supremes, Justice Supremes never go stale. So they just keep them around for life because everybody knows yesterday's tacos are just as good as 3 years ago's tacos. Everybody knows that, don't they? But so, yeah, I mean, if you compare Kavanaugh and Blasey Ford's hands, they're identical. They definitely had different lighting filters on either. And they also used the camera trick where they sort of had the camera angled below Kavanaugh. So you're sort of looking up at him. So he has a sort of dominant presence. And Blasey Ford, they had the camera sort of angled above and looking down on her. So she has sort of the recessive presence. But then also it made it difficult to match the two of their faces up on sort of front on shots, right? Because of the different angles. But I watched the entire 8-hour Senate Judiciary hearing, years ago when it was fresh. And God dang, that's hard to watch. Just the ineptness, the arrogance, and just the wastefulness of our Congress and how respected these boneheads are, right? And it makes you wonder, like, do they realize that they're looking at the same person when they're looking at Kavanaugh versus Blasey Ford? Like, are they in on it, or are they just so daft that they just don't even see it? I mean, I guess, if you're in person, it's a little different than having the luxury of going back and comparing their ears. Like, when you have identical ears with someone, that's just a bit far. Identical hands, ears, dimples on the chin. The only real difference I did see is their mouths, but you can pop in not dentures, but like false teeth. And that brings up a couple videos I'm going to share with you guys. So we're going to stop sharing this here. PayPal.me/TheMorgile, Patreon.com/TheMorgile. There you go. Okay. So let's go right on over into a couple of these things that I wanted to share with y'all. Latu B11 says, oh, wait a minute. What am I doing here? Yeah. Okay. Sorry, y'all. I'm just getting through some little hiccups here, but that went pretty well. I'm glad that the computer didn't crash. Oh shit! No, I don't want to leave. I almost just ended the stream, y'all. My bad. Okay. So let's go to media. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud, you guys. Okay, so I got about 3 very short videos that I'm going to share with you guys and react to. One of them's a short, so it's like a minute, and then the other 2 are about 4 minutes. And enjoy, because these are pretty eye-opening.
It could keep you safe. It could keep you from getting shot. It could keep you alive. A mask could. People are amazed that there was a job title called Chief of Disguise. And most women I know wish they'd had that job. Sounded like fun. Actually, it was fun. I don't think another intelligence agency in the world devoted the time and the budget to disguise like we did. Disguise became a...
Can y'all hear that okay? Just let me know in the chat and I'll check in a minute. There is a bit of a lag, but just let me know if y'all can hear this, okay? It is a bit light on my end, so I don't know how it is for y'all.
became a form of body armor. In the Spy Museum, we call the mask a 5-second mask. They proved invaluable. You could change your ethnicity, you could change your gender, you could change your nationality, and if you needed to, you could actually become another person. When I was chief of disguise, we had already begun using Hollywood stunt double masks. That was a technology that came straight out of LA. We worked with a man named John Chambers, who had done all the makeup for Planet of the Apes.
He has a definite gift for mimicry.
They could spend 5 hours putting on a mask. They could spend an hour taking it off. And they could shoot it again and again and again until they got the lights just right. Our mask had to be perfect in the car. When you got out of the car, you had to know without a mirror that you were good. The point of all of our masks was speed. You had to.
See, to me, that's pretty fascinating. And they're not going to reveal all their secrets to you, right? But to be able to put on a sort of latex prosthetic mask, you know, in the car on the fly without a mirror and know that it's going to be fine, to me, that's pretty impressive, you know. And you do have to sort of respect the CIA for their antics, but when you dig a little deeper into the CIA, it's not all, you know, fluffy grocery getting, you know, soccer moms or whatever. It's just not.
You had to imagine that you were going to be in situations that you couldn't even anticipate. An officer somewhere picks this thing up, just puts it on in 5 seconds, and knows that it's right, that he's invisible.
In 5 seconds and knows that it's right. See, that's a good point, right? Because, like, for movie magic, you know, they have the luxury of hours and days and big budgets, and, you know, if they screw up, nobody's going to die. You know what I mean? So it is kind of eye-opening that they have that capability. I mean, it makes you wonder. It really does make you wonder, like, where have they been applying this, right? Because, you know, for example, so there was a very popular politician recently that had a pew pew whiz by their ear and nick their ear. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that guy, but it was pretty recent. But, you know, according to the federal law and according to all the laws on the books, it is perfectly legal and totally ethical for political candidates or really any sort of government agency to pull off stunts in order to sway public opinion. You know, you could almost say false flags are sanctioned and subsidized by the state, right? Anyway, off on a tangent there.
If you had to sit and tinker with this thing, if you needed a mirror, it wasn't going to be useful to you at all. The masks were full-face latex masks. It allows you to furrow your brow, it allows you to squint your eyes, it allows you to speak. You talk. The specific.
And okay, you guys, and y'all didn't know this, but I'm wearing a mask right now. No, I'm totally kidding. I'm kidding.
The specific mask we're talking about would fit just one person. The first thing we do is we make a face impression. If you've been to a dentist and never had a dental impression, it's the same thing. It's just your face, not your teeth. So they would have added to his face. They could rearrange his face a bit and give him a new face that would fit perfectly over his real face. We never used human hair. We always used a synthetic. The idea of a man washing the hair on his mask and making it look nice when that was all done was never going to happen. The synthetic hair, you couldn't hurt it, basically. You could wear your mask in a rainstorm and your hair would still be okay.
Very human.
The masks, more than once, were taken off in a moment of terror and crushed down and put under arms in armpits. They would fit in armpits if they needed to. That was part of the design.
Like, honestly, I always sort of thought that the Mission Impossible, you know, the masks that Mission Impossible made famous with, like, the Tom Cruise versions, I always assumed that that was BS, right? But according to her, that's totally doable.
The mask is the culmination of a lot of work that we did at CIA over a period of, I'd say, 10 years, developing that technology. It was a big challenge to come up with something that finally...
And, you know, I would also add, excuse me, sort of swallowed some air there, pardon me. this is just the stuff that they're telling us, right? So like the soccer mom, the grocery getter, she's telling us all this stuff. So that means it's declassified. This is just what they're allowing us to know. I mean, it just really imagine what they've been able to accomplish over decades with the sort of black budgets, and the massive budgets that they've been given to tinker around with this sort of thing, right? Very interesting.
Actually animated and worked to really fool a person closer than 3-4 feet from you. But we did.
They learned the art.
We actually
3
brought...
or 4 feet away. See, that's pretty impressive. Like to fool someone, like they say the Monet thing, like good from far but far from good. Like if you can get up 2 or 3 feet away from somebody and still like not recognize that you might notice there's something a little off about this motherfucker, but you'd never put your finger on, oh, it's because, it's a chick wearing a mask. It's not a dude at all, right? I don't know. Pretty impressive.
Hollywood back into our labs at one point to look at what we had done, and they were stunned. They're absolutely stunned.
Congratulations.
The fact that we're allowed to show it tells me the CIA have moved on. I don't know what they're doing. I shouldn't know. I'm dying to know, but I don't know.
That was my point. So like the stuff that they're releasing to us now is old technology. Like for all we know, they've got some sort of a going way off the deep end here, but if you guys are familiar with David Icke, and he sort of claimed that these reptilian shapeshifters use, they don't actually change their shape, they just basically scramble the microwaves in your fucking brain to make you think that they've changed shape, right? So I wonder if that's what she's hinting at. Like, are they, because you do know that they have the capability to beam audible advertisements directly into your brain that only you can hear should they so choose. So it just makes you wonder if they have any kind of capability to hack the human eyesight, right? I don't know. I mean, that would be a tall order, but with the likes of Neuralink and the sort of technologies that are rolling out, with AI working to meet the technology in the middle, right? I think that we would be very surprised to know exactly what sort of technologies they have to fool us, right?
But I don't know.
Relax. You'll get to see it all later on.
So I'm proud to show people how good we got to that point and let them imagine. So what are they doing now?
So like in the case of Blasey Ford and Kavanaugh, they had about 2 hours in between the two segments of the hearing, and never the twain did meet, which is pretty odd. Like anytime you have a hearing, you've usually got the accused facing the accuser, on opposite sides of the room. This is the only one that I've ever seen, the only sort of hearing that I've ever seen where you had a plaintiff and a accuser, a plaintiff and a defendant or whatever, and I don't know, man. It seems strange to me. So let's play another one and react to another. But let me know what y'all think of that one down there in the chat. And I do warn you, we are going sort of iceberg style on this. So the further we go in, the more and more bizarre shit's gonna get. So keep your pants on, okay?
In the Mission Impossible movies, the agents wear realistic face masks as disguises to trick their enemies. In real life, mask technology has advanced so much that those made-up storylines aren't so impossible to imagine anymore. Joining us now...
let me know in the chat. I'm going to check that y'all can hear the video. I got to pop over here real fast. I'm assuming that y'all can hear it okay and everything. Aaron Evans says it's wild, but they like to show off. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe that. I think part of it is the sort of the whole the law of disclosure to they sort of have to tell us, right? So that those of us that don't see it don't have an excuse, right? So it gives the abuser plausible deniability. It gives the accuser cremation of care, basically, because it's on you, man. We told you, we did it right in front of your face. You didn't see it. That's on you, right? So that's their sort of, it's the cremation of care. It's really a psychopathic way to just get rid of your conscience if you can try to do that. I mean, either you have one or you don't, right? I mean, I guess with practice, one could hone their conscience away to a little nub or whatever, but why would anyone want to do that, right? I don't know, man. We can hear. Thank you, Ben Six Strings. I appreciate that. All right, 54 concurrent viewers. That means I broke the internet. Never do I get more than 50 concurrent viewers on a stream, so that's great. I appreciate you guys being here, and a whole lot more to come. We've only just begun on this mofo, so y'all strap in. Yeah, I haven't even got past the first line of what I've come here to talk to y'all about. So, okay, we're going to continue on with that video we were just watching, so let's keep going.
With more is Rob Jenkins. He's a psychologist and researcher at the University of York in England. Okay, I know I'm supposed to be talking to Rob, but you look like Walter White.
Yeah, I'm in here somewhere, but, you know, I'm getting too old for this kind of thing.
This is... Look at this.
That's not very believable, though, really. I mean, that's not believable at all, right?
Come on.
Here we go.
What? What?
I don't know. When he was talking, that didn't look believable at all to me. I mean, what do y'all think? But if I would have walked in the same room with that dude, I would have probably busted out my wooden stakes and my crucifix, right? I don't know.
I mean, that's just... I'm just floored by how realistic it looked. That's incredible.
Yeah, well, we've kept finding that in live situations, people just accept these masks as real faces. So we've set up a computer-based test to find out.
You know, it's funny though, and I got to tell y'all this. When I was living in Salina, Kansas, very small town. Gunsmoke fans know about Salina. That's where Gunsmoke took place, Salina, Kansas. The reason they call it Salina is there's a saltwater river running directly through the town, right? Which is kind of weird because Salina is about as landlocked as you can get in the United States. Like it's literally like geographically like dead on ball center of the U.S. And yet there's a saltwater river running right through there. And the thing about Salina is, man, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but there is a pretty bizarre underground culture there, right? And I'm not going to say a whole lot more than that. But it's like if you get on the city bus there, I'm telling you, there's 3 or 4 people there wearing these sorts of masks. I swear to God, it's the most bizarre thing. And like if you're not looking for it, you would never in a million years like suspect it, right? But once you're sort of like awake to that, it's such a weird thing. Like I don't even want to get into this. Like I probably will write a book about Salina that will come out like long after I'm dead and gone, right? Very bizarre stuff. Anyway, but yeah, that whole town is filled with people that apparently just love this shit, dude, and just like get on the city bus with it. Either that or they're like cockroach people or something, like like take the scene from Men in Black with Vincent D'Onofrio, where he's like, yeah, like what the fuck? Okay, anyway, love you, Marmar. Okay. So here we go, right back to it.
Just how realistic they are. And the test is very simple. We just show people pairs of photographs. One is always a real face. The other is always a mask. And the task is simply to indicate which one is the mask. Now, if people can tell the difference, they should pick the mask every time. But that's not what we found. In fact, people pick the real face instead of the mask on at least 20% of occasions. So wow. This tells us that people are having a really tough time telling the best of these masks from real faces.
Well, these incredible...
Right, and that was in a study where people were sort of already biased and looking for it, right? So you would expect their answers to be way more on target than just, like a random person that had no idea they were participating in such a study at all. I mean, maybe they were, diligent on their blindness or whatever in the study, but I mean, who knows?
It's incredibly lifelike masks, and I've got one right here. They're made by in Canada by a Quebec-based company, Real Flesh Masks, and they're designed,
no wonder that one sucked. No wonder that one sucked. It was made in Canada. No, I'm totally kidding. I love you, Canada.
Real human faces.
Alouette, gentil alouette.
Real human faces.
Alouette, gentil poumeret.
Real human faces, and they really do. They look remarkably real. So what we have...
I got Canadian friends, man. One of my best friends is Canadian, is what I'm trying to tell
We've
you.
got a picture of an actual human face, and here is one of a realistic mask. So, as you said, you did this research, and you asked participants to choose between the masks and the wearing of the faces. I guess, were you surprised by what you discovered?
We were surprised because some people are skeptical and tend to be overconfident, say, oh, well, I would be able to tell the difference. We don't have to argue about that. We can just run the experiment. And so that's what we've done.
Look, these masks are designed to be used for a variety.
Why are people who are into disguises always so fruity? Like, not fruity, but like fruitacular.
Of reasons, medical training, movie production. There've got to be some current concerns, some practical concerns about how they could be used outside of those purposes.
Well, we're interested in how...
Hey, tell me that motherfucker wasn't cloned in the same lab as Simon Dan.
People cover their faces to conceal their identity. And if someone robs a bank, say, wearing a balaclava, then police will be fully aware that they don't know what the robber looks like. But if someone robs a bank wearing a mask that passes for human, then they might think they know what the robber looks like, but be very much mistaken. And that can lead the investigation down the wrong path if they're looking for someone of the wrong age or the wrong race or the wrong gender.
Oh, no shit. Okay, so we got Inspector Gadget here is explaining us how a disguise works. Oh, my goodness. Okay, well, we get it. We'll wrap this one up. This one has another 30 seconds on
And that's
it.
not just hypothetical. We're aware of about 40 cases worldwide where something like that has happened.
Yeah, Rob, we were just watching some video of someone wearing one of those masks and then removing it. You're absolutely right. That could send police and law enforcement down a completely wrong path if they think that what they're looking at is an actual human face.
That's so funny. And of course, the talking head newscaster was like, yeah, it never occurred to him how a fucking disguise works, right? Oh my God. Like, where did they grow these people? In a fucking cabbage patch?
Rob Jenkins, thank you so much for joining us.
Jeez.
And thank you, by the way, to Ian Marier, owner of Real Flesh Masks, for the use of his creation. And for more information, you can visit Real Flesh Masks.
Dibs on that flesh mask, though, for real, bro. Sexy. Sexy, dude. No, I'm saying. No, I'm kidding. All right. And we got one more. This is a short. So, one more short.
Okay, she keep calling every single night. And I don't mind pushing you to ride.
Yeah, I don't want to get a copyright strike for whatever that is. But I thought this was interesting because this just seems like some random dude with like one of these masks. So, I mean, it just kind of goes to show that, yeah, they are believable. They can put them on very quick. So I think that has been established. And I think also one thing that we can establish is what you see is not always what you get, right? Okay, so this one here has just another 15 seconds on, so we'll let him play out. And if y'all don't mind, I will be white black. I'm going to go grab me a frosty beverage. Y'all do the same. I'll be back in about 5 seconds. Alrighty then. So, let's see here. How are we gonna do this, y'all? Okay, so I got a few slides that I want to share with you guys. Thank you. Okay, so here we go. Here comes the slides. I'm not that fast. So you're gonna have to wait. I gotta pull them up. I had everything queued up and then my computer crashed before I started the stream. So I'm just kind of flying without my pants on here, guys. I mean, I have my pants on. I'm not wearing any underwear is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, here we go. And if this, so like when I open these slides, oh yeah, that's right. So what's up with that? So, okay, here's a gripe, Windows 11. So like if I've got a file folder open, here, I'll just show you, I'll share my screen with y'all and y'all tell me if I'm like retarded. I'm sorry, if y'all tell me if I'm psychologically stunted. Sorry, I hate to use that word. I know it's offensive to some people. Or like, what the crap? Okay, so Windows 11, here, let me share my screen. Okay, so here we go. So if I go to, so like I want to preview all these slides and just go like, select them all and then right click. It should go open with, right? So like if I do one, right? If I do one and right click, it gives me open with, okay? But if I do two, open with goes away. How lame is that? So how did they manage to screw up something that has been properly functioning for all iterations of Windows since probably the original? I mean, I don't know, at least 98. I'm sure you could do that in Windows 98 for sure. Okay, but now that we're at Windows 11, you can't do open with on multiple files. Dude, that is so lame. So I got to go to, so here's what I'll do. I'll just go to Photoshop. See what you make me do, Bill Gates. Just yet another reason to just hate billionaires, dude. For real, because they, I mean, I don't know. We're not gonna go off topic that much, y'all. Oh, motherfucker, dude. Sorry, y'all. I promise we're almost there. We're almost there. Yay. Okay, here we go. Oh, we got to give it a minute to catch up. Okay. Really, that all you had to see was that. Like, you seen that little slideshow, that was that's all you really needed to see. And we'll leave it on here for a minute, but I do have all these queued up. And what I wanted to do is react to this video here. Okay, here we go. Oh, and I do need to put the sound on, so I've got to. Oh, well, wait a minute. So I do not want to do that. Let me finish with Photoshop, and then I'll switch over to that, because I don't want my shit to crash. Sorry, y'all. Anybody wants to buy me a new computer, text me, 864-315-7892. Or lend me a computer forever. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to just run through these real quick. Lis Einhorn, yeah, y'all already seen that, so that's sort of a title card for that, so I can close that one out. A lot of the celebrities that you know, household names that y'all are familiar with are highly suspected of being secret transgenders, okay? Now, again, I don't really necessarily have anything against transgenders per se. I mean, to each his own. To me, that's a very bizarre thing to, like, that's a very bizarre hill to die on, you know what I mean? But to each his own. However, when it comes to the fact that I already know that very deeply rooted psychological operations have been conducted on our people, unbeknownst to us, since we were just little kids, that the fruition of this psychological operation is gender dysphoria, gender confusion, okay? And so when I see someone that is a victim of this sort of psychological operation, very insidious psychological operation, it is hard for me to get on board, you know, like condoning and cottoning to their delusions, as I said before. But you know, the way that they get it into your brain waves as a little kid is through celebrity culture, celebrity worship, and just repetition. I think that's a big key to the sort of predictive programming and mind control operations is repetition, right? So like once you've heard something that you don't agree with once or twice, you probably still don't agree with it. But once you've seen a celebrity that you admire say the same thing 1,000 times that you don't agree with, all of a sudden you're the poster child and like you're gonna die on that fucking hill, right? I mean, that's just how it's human psychology. It's like herd mentality, right? In a way. So there's that. I'm not going to close this one because that's a good one to leave it on. And I'm going to just breeze through these. So you got before and after. This is a male to female. Dude's got great tits, I'll just say. But, you know, that's a dude. People spend a lot of money on this shit. It's sickening. Spend a lot of money changing their God-given body, their temple, into something that it was never intended to be. To me, that is like, you know, body mutilation because of a mental illness is like one of the most bizarre and horrible things that a doctor could ever participate in, that sort of delusion. And that's exactly the video we're going to respond to here in a minute, is one of these doctors that's raking in probably millions, at least 6 figures annually, 7 figures annually on these sort of mutilations for people electing, elected mutilations for mentally handicapped or mentally ill people, people that are victims of this, predictive programming, almost grooming campaign that has been conducted by the federal government and their offspring and their offshoots for generations, right? And and in my opinion, it goes on long before America was even a thing, too, right? So just sickening. This is a female to male. Okay, so it goes both ways. You got chicks cutting their boobs off, dude. As sick as that is. And by the way, warning: this is content not for children. You know, I should have said that sooner. And I did tell you the iceberg thing earlier, so just close your eyes, kids. Sorry, we'll close that. It's awful. Another slide. There's another one. You know, there's another FTM. It goes on and on. Okay, so here's a good one we can leave it on. I'll come back to this one, but basically the underlying skeletal structure is human anatomy, and someone that is born a male and goes through male puberty has certain skeletal structure traits that are decidedly and pointedly male. And the same thing goes for females. Females' skeletal structure for a normally developed female, their skeleton develops differently than a male, right? The big thing on females is the birth canal, right? So you have the sort of wider Q angle, right? And we'll get into all that. We're going to get into this slide a little bit more heavily probably in a minute. So I'll leave that one up. And yeah, so there we go. Christine Blasey Ford and Brett Kavanaugh, which you saw this slide animated earlier as we were doing the introduction. So that one's pretty blatant, pretty obvious. And like, why, like, it just goes to show really how brazen these people are, that they're willing to go on national TV and televise this stuff. And the guy is still sitting as a Supreme Court justice with extra sour cream. Okay. All right. So so there goes the slides. Those two I will come back to. And with all that being said, we're going to respond to this video. But before we do that, let me just check on you guys in the chat and make sure that everything is still kosher. And we got an article about Bathory. What do y'all want to hear first? The Bathory article, the Barticle Athory, or the fucking gender affirmation surgery video response? Y'all tell me in the chat. Let me know. And I will wait a minute as I take a little breather break and spark my Jane. Let me know, y'all. What happened to Big Del? He was all right, then lost the plot. I don't know. I mean, I love Del, bro. Badass on the guitar, flurfer. What more could a guy want, dude? Man after my own heart. But, I mean, we disagree on one point, and he is super duper adamant about that point. And at some point, it almost seems like, I don't know. Sometimes people let pride get in the way. What is that old line from Pulp Fiction? Pride is just something fucking with you. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But, I love Del to death. We disagree on that point. I don't agree with the way some of his minions go attacking people that disagree with them. But I don't see Del doing that. Del's under attack from a lot of different angles. I mean, I think his heart's in the right place, but it's a strange hill to die on. And I disagree with him wholeheartedly on the whole 9.8 meters per second rising of the Earth thing, right? Don't agree with that at all. But that doesn't mean we can't be friends, right? Okay, so getting right back in. Oh yeah, so we're gonna share this. Oh, y'all didn't tell me. So do you want me to do the Bathory article first, or the responding to the gender affirmation surgery thing first? And I haven't gotten any response back. I know there is a bit of a lag. I'm not sure how much that lag actually is. But okay, fuck it. We're just gonna do the gender affirmation surgery response. You don't like it? Deal. Okay. Kate Kaput, dude. I know you know she made that name up for this video. Her name is not actually Kate Kaput. Maybe it is. Oh shit. I know. I'm pretty sure that there is no audio on this, right? So let me stop sharing and start this over. Shit, I'll start it over. Here we go. All right, here we go. Starting it over.
Hi, and thank you for joining us for this episode of the Health Essentials podcast. My name is Kate Kaput, and I'll be your host today. We're talking about transgender healthcare, including gender affirmation surgery and other topics, with Dr. Cecile Ferrando, Cleveland Clinic's Director of Transgender Surgical Services.
So now my roommate is vacuuming, and I have not yet soundproofed my office. So I'm just gonna go politely ask my roommate to stop vacuuming until I get done. Okay, don't worry. I mean, I'll be done in about an hour. I'll do it. All right, thank you. I'm gonna get some soundproof for this room here as soon as I get some money. Oh well, I mean, I wouldn't worry about that. Well, no, I'm going to because that way y'all don't have to hear my stuff. I can't. Okay, because it comes right in on the microphone. So, all right, thank you. I hate to do that. I feel like such a dick, but I'm sorry, y'all. And it probably I don't know. Y'all tell me how loud was that. Anyway. Okay, here we go. Right back to it.
It's great to have you here, Dr. Ferrando.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I'd like to start. I know that you've been a longtime advocate for transgender patients' health and well-being. I'd like to begin by asking you to tell us a little bit about your practice at Cleveland Clinic and the type.
Okay, wait. So transgender's advocate of health and well-being. So this doctor, whatever her name is making money hand over fist, participating in these people's delusion and billing insurance companies for these sort of elective surgeries that have now become, well, like medical necessities. That's crazy to me. Anyway.
Types of patients that you typically see. Who comes to you?
So my main specialty is female pelvic medicine and reconstructive surgery. It's also known as urogynecology. So I have an obstetrics and gynecology background, and then have a reconstructive surgery fellowship subspecialty training. So the types of patients I see mostly patients seeking reconstructive surgery, or what we call gender affirmation surgery specific to genital reconstruction.
Gender affirmation surgery. So what, like you're talking about making some dude schlong bigger? Is that what you're saying? Gender after you're making you like more gender, like affirming your gender? Or wait a minute. So you really what she's talking about is psychological problem affirmation. Really, that's what she's actually talking about. Is yeah, let's just participate in these people's psychological disease and start mutilating their body, you know, on that whim. And again, I think, in my opinion, a lot of this isn't actually people's whim. Like, if it was their decision to do this sort of thing, I'd be all on board for it, right? You know, that's your right to do whatever you want. But when these ideas are supplanted into your psyche on a subconscious level by these sort of mockingbird corporations that have agendas, right? That's where it becomes a problem. And that agenda is very widespread. And we're going to get into that agenda after we, you know, go through these video responses.
So I've, in my practice, have mixed in seeing patients who are specifically looking for gender affirmation care, as well as all types of patients looking for reconstructive surgery specific to vaginal reconstruction and pelvic reconstruction.
Got it. Thank you for that background.
And they say reconstruction like, you know, your vaginal was destroyed in a fire or something. Okay, so yes, women, if your vagina is destroyed in a fire, I am all for vaginal reconstructive surgery. But when you're a dude with a psychological disease, that is not gender reaffirming, and it is not a reconstructive surgery. Flaying a dude's schlong and inverting it into his pelvic region is not reconstructive. That's about the textbook definition of deconstructive, in my opinion. And the same thing goes with the other way around. They do that too.
So let's start by talking about terminology and concepts. For listeners who are not transgender and who are just trying to better understand this topic, can you talk about gender identity and what it means to be transgender?
You know, gender identity can be a really complex, complicated issue.
Okay, wait a minute. So, and again, so this is the whole thing. Like, of course she's going to cotton to these delusions, right? Because she's making a lot of money doing these surgeries, right? But it's not a complicated issue. These people have a mental problem. You know, to each his own. But again, my problem with it is first the secret ones, like, you know, the ones that are out in the open, I have a certain element of respect for that. Like my dad, he's open about it. Like, he's not a secret trend. He doesn't expect, well, I don't know. I'm not going to go into that. You know, it's too bizarre. But I guess what my point is the ones that hide it, there's something nefarious about that. And the fact that this sort of body dysphoria is being subconsciously supplanted into our children and into our young adults and right up in through, you know, it's ubiquitous, it's everywhere. I see a lot of this body dysphoria and these psychological problems as a response to that predictive programming, okay? And again, all of this does fall back to in my opinion, to the spiritual wickedness in high places, this sort of anti-human agenda. The devil has been attacking the family unit for a long, long time. And, you know, the globe earth deception is only a part of this, right? And you know, I think that in a lot of ways, the Transpocalypse agenda is even more detrimental and even affects people more deeply in a lot of ways than the globe earth deception, okay? And the reason I say that is because your average person really don't give no fuck about science class. The average person isn't really that interested in NASA. I mean, sure, you have your fanboys and there's millions of them, but you know, what is that? Less than 5% of the population? It's not a big, huge number. Okay, but when it comes to people that are swayed by celebrity and try to emulate celebrity, and are victims of this sort of repetitious predictive programming and very insidious mind control. When people start acting out those deliberately implanted psychological problems, you know, I think the best thing that we can do is identify this as a problem and look at some of the root causes. I mean, sure, there's probably always going to be some sort of a trauma in that person's past. There's always going to be some sort of a 9 times out of 10 sexual assault. And so these people are victims, right? But when this sort of cultural milieu is developed specifically to funnel our children into fucking crazy town, that's a big problem. And in a lot of ways, it is more effective and more poignant and more directed than the globe Earth. I mean, sure, they got us all with the globe Earth, but you know, a lot of people could care less about evolution. Never even thought about it, right? Never even thought about spinning ball Earth more than, you know, maybe they passed the test in middle school, or maybe they failed the test. That's it, right? The majority of people are far more interested in celebrity culture and celebrity worship than they are, you know, anything to do with science. So there is that. All right, back to it.
Or it could actually be sort of really simple. It depends upon how you wish to look at it. I mean, gender identity is really sort of who you are, how you feel, whether you feel like you sort of are on the feminine side, whether you're on the masculine side. It's an internal sort of feeling. How you manifest that identity is that.
How about accepting the cards that you're dealt and embracing your God-given temple? How about that?
Actually called gender expression, meaning how you sort of express things on the outside. So while it can be confusing, if you sort of keep it simple, there are plenty of individuals who identify as female or feminine, but may choose to have a more male or masculine gender.
So would you help them self-mutilate if you weren't getting paid out the ass for it, Doctor, whatever your name is? I wonder if she would. I wonder if she feels this strongly, so strongly, in fact, about their gender affirmation surgery that she would do it, you know, pro bono, just out of the goodness of her heart. I highly doubt it, just saying.
Expression, they may have an expression that's more in line with their actual identity and may sort of dress and express in a feminine way. And that sort of way of expressing yourself is based upon the clothes you wear, the way you wear your hair, the way you wear your jewelry or makeup. But
so now cut your schlong off, right? That's the answer. No, I mean, I'm all for that. I think we should be able to dress any way we want to dress. I mean, sure, there are some guidelines in the ancient holy books that I think we should probably pay a little bit of attention to. But, you know, at the end of the day, I don't think that people are going to burn in hell for wearing the wrong kind of shoes or something, right? But on the other hand, to say that your gender expression involves permanent mutilation during, you know, a time in your life when you are psychologically not well, I think people like this should have their licenses to practice medicine revoked permanently. And that's just a start. Honestly, I think it's crazy that that our medical establishment, you know, the disease industry has allowed this to go so far. I mean, at least they used to have some, you know, semblance of respectability.
That expression is different from someone's true identity. Somebody who's trans, if you think about sort of the origin of the word trans, sort of means sort of traversing or sort of opposite. And so,
and, you know, when did medical doctors start talking like this? Because, you know, when you do see these sort of these woke TDS sufferers, these trans activists, when you see them talk, they always do point to, well, you know, medical doctors say that there's more than one gender and medical doctors condone this. Yeah, medical doctors are given basically ultimatums from the top down, you know, the spiritual wickedness in high places that comes in the form of the, you know, the American Medical Association and different federal establishments like that. And, you know, doctors are basically puppets on a string. You know, if a doctor was to tell you to not take some drug and instead take some natural remedy that grows on a tree, they could actually lose their license for that. They can only prescribe drugs to cure diseases. Okay. And, you know, we're kind of getting off topic here, but there's a special place in hell for this bitch. I'm sorry. I hate to say it like that, but there is.
Somebody who's transgender identifies with a gender that is opposite of their what we call natal sex or their biologic sex, the sex that they were assigned at birth, which is usually based on one's genitalia at birth.
Usually, yeah. Usually, it's so weird to hear medical doctors talking like this. And of course, you know, she has a vested interest in this scientism, because that's what it is. Scientism rears its ugly head yet again. This medical doctor who makes her money doing gender reassignment surgeries and gender affirmation surgeries, which is a very bizarre euphemism in my opinion. But she has a vested interest in these people's delusions. She has a vested interest in this narrative that gender is a state of mind. But you know, why is it a double murder if a pregnant woman is murdered because the baby is a person? Why is it a single murder if a pregnant transgender man is murdered? Oh, wait a minute, there's no such thing as a pregnant transgender man? Well, why not? I wonder.
An important term when you're talking about gender identity and transgender is to sort of understand sort of the opposite, which is cisgender. Cisgender refers to individuals who identify with the body or the natal sex that they were born in. So somebody who was born female.
According to her, I'm a man. I'm not a cis anything. I'm a man. And she's a woman. She's actually, you know, dibs on that. No, I'm kidding. But for an obviously intelligent, medically trained person to go along with the scientism for their own personal gain, there's a special place in hell. I'm just saying. Hopefully she will repent from what she's doing, because permanently scarring innocent children who are confused and going through phases oftentimes, and who are very hurt by this world and often by people who were supposed to be, you know, looking after them. There's a lot of things to rebel against, but your God-given gender to me is just such a bizarre thing that is not, I mean, it's not natural, man. I mean, sure, maybe you've got the less than 1% of the population that is sort of naturally gender confused, just out of, you know, they come out of the womb that way, or, you know, maybe they're a product of their environment. But when the cultural milieu is a system of cranking out gender confused time bombs, to me, that's a totally different thing altogether, and we cannot respect their rights in that realm. We have to identify this as a problem and maybe try to cut the problem off at its source, which is it's a psychological operation that's been going on for many, many, many moons.
Has female external genitalia and self-identifies as female is considered cisgender, whereas somebody who was born with female genitalia but identifies as male would be somebody who is transgender. And then again, that self-expression can be very different from their own identity. And I think sort of the added point to add a layer to make it more complex is to really understand the difference between identity and sexual preference, or what we often refer to as sexual orientation, which is individuals whom you are attracted to. And so one of my mentors, the easiest way to sort of really think about it is identity is who you go to sleep as at night, and sexual preference or orientation is who with whom you go to sleep with at night, or who you.
And you know, I've pretty much seen about enough of this. I'm sure y'all have too. But you see the gist of this, and it really burns me up, and actually, like, my blood pressure is starting to boil just listening to this woman, because, like, I'm willing to bet that if you were to get her behind closed doors in like a conversation where off the record, she'd be the first one to tell you, like, no, these people are fucking crazy, man. But, you know, their insurance companies are paying for these surgeries. So why wouldn't I? You know, of course she's going to get on board with the training train. Of course, right? I don't know. We'll keep this going for a minute. What do y'all think, man? Do you want to keep listening to this doctor and my response to her nonsense, or do you want to move on to something else? Because I've got a few other things too. Y'all let me know. And I've actually I got to run and take a pee real fast. So y'all let me know in the chat which way you want to go. You want to keep going with this or on to something else? We're going to talk about Lady Bathory as well. I'll be right back. You let me know. I got to pee. Be white, black. All right. Sorry about that, guys. All right, let's see what you think. I'll checking on the chat there, guys. Okay. Then why get surgery? Aaron Evans says, then why get surgery? No logic to this B shit. Yeah, no shit. Still can't see it. Thomas F. E. Braun says, human psychology, misery loves company. Someone smoking, doing drugs or alcohol will want to push others to also do it. Someone not drinking will hear comment upon comment of how boring he is. Okay, well then fuck off, dude. Nimblehorse, communism is the death of the soul. It is the organization of total conformity. In short, of tyranny, and it is committed to making tyranny universal. Adley I. Stevenson. Damn right. Okay, so what do y'all, I guess the delay on this is like super long, huh? Okay. So we'll just, we'll continue on with the one that we were on for a minute, because it is interesting to hear exactly how woke the medical establishment has gotten. And, you know, just as on an aside, sorry, I've had 1.5 courses and I am already buzzing, y'all. It's time to smoke a joint. Be like us. Peer pressure. No, I'm kidding. Don't do drugs, kids. Don't drink. No, on an aside though, okay, so my little dog Lily, y'all know Lily. So like a few days ago, she had, not a few days ago, she has had these little growths on her back, like little cysts, just like 2 or 3 of them, but you know, they started out small, like maybe like a little pimple or something, and then they progressively got bigger. And it got to the point where they started bothering her and they were really big. And so I filmed all this and I'm still going to cut it up and put it together. But just basically, I put a certain ointment on her that I can't tell you on YouTube, or YouTube will literally cancel my channel permanently and I will have no recourse. Because see, this ointment that I use on myself and on Lily and whatever, for all kinds of different things, pretty much anything, it works, okay? And it's super cheap and it works on all kinds of things, right? But if I was to tell you what it is and just give you, not even try to convince you to use it or even recommend using it, just showing you the results of it, yeah, YouTube would censor me, ban my channel, and you'd never hear from me again, at least on this channel. And so you know, to me, it is kind of funny how the medical establishment will lobby against that. But the very same people are telling you that it is gender affirming to cut your dick off.
You would choose to go to sleep with.
A term that we hear about a lot when we're talking about transgender healthcare is gender dysphoria. What is gender dysphoria and how can it manifest in transgender people in particular?
So gender dysphoria is a symptom. It's what we commonly use now to help with diagnoses. So, you know, being transgender is not an ailment or an actual disorder.
Being transgender means you're fucked in the head. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. I hate to use that sort of a blanket statement, but if you're willing to, as a beautiful woman, cut your tits off, or as a strong dude, get rid of the one-eyed German pet, to me, that is insanity. That is not something that medical doctors should be participating in facilitating. And just because the medical board says that it's legal and ethical, y'all dumb motherfuckers took a Hippocratic oath. And the thing about an oath is you really should take them more seriously, because your oath is to the well-being of the patient, not to the woke mob.
That's an antiquated view of what it means to be transgender. Transgender is just a way that some individuals self-identify, right? But when we're treating symptoms, we have to have a diagnosis. And so some transgender individuals experience something called gender dysphoria. And I'm really careful in saying, you don't want to say all individuals, it's really some. Some individuals self-identify as the opposite gender compared to sort of their natal sex and feel comfortable in their bodies without sort of seeking any care. But those individuals who are uncomfortable experience something called gender dysphoria, which is this disconnect between one's gender identity and their biologic or natal sex that sort of.
Okay, so there's a good point. Okay, so there, you know, and I kind of agree with her there. I believe that there are people like that. I think that's a terrible thing. Dave Chappelle said, and I could pull the clip up, but I'm not going to crash my computer for that. But Dave Chappelle said, it's one of the most hilarious predicaments that you could ever be in, right? And it kind of is. But I agree that, like, there is something to what this crazy, rich, sexy motherfucker just said. You know, the problem that I see is not that these people have a problem, right? Because they clearly do have a problem. I mean, when you want to go start cutting parts off yourself in order to fulfill some fantasy that is being, you know, enriched by these doctors, that's a problem, okay? But to to say that this is something natural to these people, that they would, you know, if they were born on a desert island, that they would have been gender dysphoria even then, no, it never would have happened in a million years. It is, our culture has a sort of systemic push towards this gender dysphoria, right? I mean, everything from having Pamela Anderson on Baywatch to, you know, the fucking Miss America pageants, bunch of trannies, dude, in my opinion, sorry to say. But when this gender dysphoria is being intentionally inserted into people's psyche, dude, how fucked up is that? And could you imagine being the victim of this, where, like, the hill that you're going to die on is you want to cut your dick off? Ugh.
Of creates symptoms of dysphoria, you know, meaning sort of that distress that comes with being with living life within that context. And so that's what gender dysphoria is.
Got it. Thank you.
Crazy.
So we want to be really clear that many
crazy.
transgender individuals choose not to have any surgeries done whatsoever, and that it is never appropriate to ask a person whether they've had these surgeries unless they.
Dude, could you imagine, though? Like, surgery is something, like, when I hear the word surgery, my knees get a bit weak, right? Because you're talking about cutting yourself open and stitches and sedation and just like risk. Like, there's all kinds of shit. You ever seen a staph infection or MRSA? I mean, come on. So, like, surgery is something, in my opinion, that should be reserved for, like, medical emergencies. A medical emergency is not you're fucked in the head and you want to cut your dick off. I'm sorry. I'm going to quit saying that. I'm sorry. If there's any kids watching, your parents need to be fired.
They offer up that information. But with that said, Dr. Ferrando, what can you tell us about the term gender affirmation surgery, and sort of what does that term refer to in a broad sense?
Sure. So gender affirmation in this term has changed over the decades, and this used to be gender confirmation.
Okay, so medical terms
now
morph
it's gender
with the times, right? Okay, so like yesterday it was a stub toe, and now it's a fucking brain modification, right?
affirmation, because what we're trying to describe is us as society, also as medical providers, if we're providing those services for patients, affirming individuals for who they are. So we're providing a service that doesn't necessarily, change them or confirm them, but it affirms them so that they can self-identify and live a comfortable life in the.
Yeah, until later on down the road when they realized that this was a mistake, backpedaling on the gender affirmation surgery is not exactly just as easy as changing your mind about this. And you can pull up, I don't have anything like that queued up, but you can pull up video after video, testimonial after testimonial of these people who have gone through the whole thing, the gender reassignment surgery, the hormone replacement therapy, the shrinks, and then realize that they were a stupid kid that didn't know shit. Because, children are easily swayed by all kinds of outside influences, right? And when you have this sort of systemic push towards confusing our children's gender, this is exactly the sort of doctor that benefits from that, right? And again, to me, like, what she's doing isn't criminal, but it should be. And even though it isn't, there's still a special place in hell for motherfuckers like this. I promise
bodies that they deserved and should have been born in. And so essentially what we're doing is sort of physically aligning people with the identity with which they identify. So affirmation surgery can refer to any type of surgery that does just that. And you make an excellent point about sort of, it isn't really appropriate to ask people what surgeries they've had. And there's this real misconception about gender transition. So when someone identifies as transgender and decides to go on their own personal journey of transition, that there's such a thing as a complete transition, meaning
personal journey. And I love that terminology, personal journey, because again, like if you were to, like, let's say you had like a dozen males and a dozen females that were sort of raised on a desert island with very limited outside influence, I guarantee you wouldn't have any trannies. Okay, this whole transgender fucking mind fuck is the product of the Mockingbird legacy media. They have been pushing this agenda for decades. I mean, in my opinion, this goes all the way back to Lucille Ball on the golden screen. And even before then, we can get into the castratos that was going on in ancient Rome even. Or even like the play actors of pretty much all races and all locales that used trannies for like play acting and things like that, right? And then you also have the transgendered priests of India. I forget the terminology for them, but this is nothing new. Okay, look at the Baphomet. Okay, the satanic sort of emblem. This is nothing new. This is something that has been pushed on our children since they were just very, like innocent little kids. And sure, like it doesn't help if you have a touchy uncle and that sort of thing, right? I don't know, man. It is a touchy subject because a lot of people are very like protective of their trans, third removed cousin or whatever. And we don't want to offend anybody, but at the same time, wouldn't you rather see that person heal rather than self-mutilate? I don't know. Like, it just seems like there's an easy solution for this, and it involves nixing the legacy mainstream Mockingbird media, and even nixing entities like the CIA, which hopefully that's second on Trump's list right after the Department of Education, right?
That somebody's not fully female or fully male if they haven't had every possible affirmation treatment that exists, like medical treatment, hormones, all the surgeries that are possible. Every individual lives.
How about some pussy? I'm just saying.
Their own journey and chooses what they need in order to affirm themselves in the way that makes them feel comfortable and gives them sort of that sense of self-efficacy. And
you know, forgive my French on that, but seriously, like a lot of this, I do believe. So like this is the way that it plays out, right? You've got a whole country full of young girls who are so self-conscious. They think they're fat, so they go to the point of like bulimia and anorexia to emulate the fucking, you know, the pieces of lumber with giant breasts that are on the TV. So you sort of create this body dysmorphia, right? And then you also flood the guys with pornography, right? So you've got all these uncles that are, I don't know, like the way that this whole thing goes, it makes me sick. But then the fact that these medical doctors are cashing in on this gender dysphoria craze that is a synthetic created problem, it's not a natural problem. Shame on this motherfucker right here.
Place in the world. And so
shame and dibs.
I'm sort of very, you know, I teach.
I'm being purposely facetious.
Our students and our trainees to not ask people about, unless it's medically related to the reason that they're there, but there's no need to ever ask somebody whether they've had surgery or what kind of surgery they've had. And the step to take after that is to also understand that it doesn't make them less female or less male if they've had one surgery over another or no surgeries at all.
Well, I would go so far as to say that nothing is going to make you more or less male or female than the way you started. I mean, sure, you can try to trick people and you may even be able to fool yourself, okay? But that's pretty much the extent of it.
Thank you. I think that's extremely important for folks to understand just in general about transgender individuals, whether you're a medical professional or not. With that said, though, can you tell us a little bit about the specific procedures that fall within the spectrum of gender affirmation surgeries? You know, we hear sometimes about top surgery, bottom surgery, facial feminization surgery. Can you explain some of those procedures to us and what they might entail?
Sure. I sort of like to describe the surgeries in sort of tiers, like the top tier, middle tier, and bottom tier. Sort of the top tier, starting with the face and neck. So.
Okay. And I will quit interrupting her, but not only, like, this just kind of goes to show you the extent of this. So she's literally got tiers of types of surgeries. Like, I'd love to know, and I could research it and find out, but how many surgeries has this crazy woman done over the course of her practice, like on all her affiliates? Like thousands? It sounds like thousands. You don't have tiers unless you're dealing with big numbers, right? I don't know.
Facial feminization surgery or feminizing procedures to sort of minimize masculine facial features that some transgender women. So those are individuals assigned male at birth, identifying as female. So presenting often with a female self-expression. So those women often try to undergo feminizing procedures that may include changing some of the facial bones, the chin, rhinoplasty, which is, you know, changing sort of the structure of the nose to make it things appear more female. There are very subtle things in the male and female, what we call faces, or the faces that make us appear from a societal standpoint as male or
not from a societal standpoint. That is, it's hardwired into us. Like, you look at a person, and one of the first things that we do subconsciously is determine whether they're male or female. That's why, like, you know, Pat from Saturday Night Live, Pat was so funny because, motherfucker, nobody knows like what sex you are. So it's a weird, it throws you off, right? But what did she just say? Like, remind me again. Hold on. What did she just say? Fuck.
Female and their anatomic and those things.
I gotta back it up a hair.
They're the faces that make us appear.
Oh yeah. So the faces. One thing I was gonna say on this comment was, so surgery does not do anywhere near as convincing as the hormone replacement therapy, right? So like, if you're a dude, they give you testosterone blockers. If you're young enough and lucky enough, they cut your nuts off too before puberty, and then they give you estrogen replacement therapy. So what it does is, fat displacement. Basically, like the end result of that is the fat displacement, not just on the face, not just on this area, not just down there, but the hormone replacement therapy does way more like the subtle fat distribution than the surgery could ever do. So of course she's not going to tell you as a surgeon. This is an ad for this crazy bitch, I believe. She's not going to tell you as a surgeon about hormone replacement therapy and how you could naturally make society think, you know, you're the opposite sex, trick people, trick motherfuckers, right? So I just wanted to point that out because the hormone replacement therapy, and we're going to get into that as well, in my opinion, is way more effective in certain elements or in certain areas compared to the surgery.
From a societal standpoint, as male or female, and their anatomic and those things can be changed. And then there's sort of neck surgery, so what we call tracheal reduction. So that's removing, you know, what we commonly refer to as the Adam's apple, and individuals identifying as female. And then in the middle tier is what we call top surgery, but it's really breast or chest surgery. So for transgender women, that's breast augmentation, so enhancing the breast tissue to give sort of a more female appearance to the chest. In men, there are lots of terms for it. It can be as simple as terming it mastectomy. It can also be referred to as masculinizing chest surgery, and that's essentially removing the breast tissue and creating sort of a more male appearance of the chest, a masculine appearance of the chest. And then there's sort of what I refer to the bottom tier, which is removal of some of the pelvic organs. So in trans men, that's a hysterectomy, sometimes.
Removal of some of the pelvic organs. Yeah. That's one way to put it. Oof.
Sometimes removing the ovaries and the...
And like, what a permanent thing. Like, you know, you do got to admire these crazy motherfuckers for their commitment, right? I mean, their commitment is legendary, dude. Legendary, okay? But at the same time, you know, again, if this is a product of mind control, that's a shame. Like, that is so sad. Like, I see these people as like the worst kind of fucking victims, dude. Like, even my dad, like, that's why I'm able to like come out here and I'm not trying to like shame my dad. I hopefully, and he'd like block me on Facebook and shit relatively recently. I mean, right? No. I don't know, but anyway, changing the subject on that. This is something that's kind of near and dear to me, dude, and I do see it as a psychological operation, right? Like, how bizarre is it that the CIA introduced LSD into the cultural milieu in the 60s during the free love movement, right? And now it's like the CIA is introducing motherfucking sex change bullshit into the cultural milieu, right? And they do it through Mockingbird, right? Like, these Satanists, this Illuminati, these crazy motherfuckers have control of all the media. And so, like, of course that's what they do. They want us pitted against each other. They want us expelled from the family unit. They want to decimate our communities. They want to decimate our culture. They want to decimate pretty much everything that we respect as human, right? And I don't know, man. Like, this is a big part of it, and so that's why I think it's so important. You know, the Florfer stuff is hugely important. I think that the Florfer stuff is key to Revelation. Like, really, it's hugely important. But in terms of like how this, on a granular level, affects people on a wide scale, I think this is like way more detrimental, like in so many ways. Yeah. Anyway.
Fallopian tubes. And in trans women, that would be a orchiectomy, which is removal of the testes. And then there are the reconstructive procedures, which is creating the external genitalia from what is currently there and doing reconstructive surgeries. And there are lots of different types, but it's essentially recreating the genitalia that would have been so that patients feel more aligned with themselves.
I think another big point to raise real fast, if I hadn't mentioned it, is the fact that, you know, there's a lot of these transgenders that are pretty obvious, right? You've got like your RuPaul's and like it's obvious, you're dealing with cabaret trannies, right? But then on the other hand, you also have some that are way more subtle and you'd never think in a million years. I'll be right back. I got to grab a frosty beverage. I'm on my third course, so that's going to be it for me. But I do have a couple more things to share with you guys. So let me grab a drink. I'm going to pee. Give me 2 minutes and I'll be right back. Y'all be good. All right, y'all, I'm back. Continue on with this thing here.
Great, thank you. So it sounds like there's a whole range of these surgeries, and I'm sure that the answer isn't the same for each of them. But when it comes to undergoing gender affirmation surgeries, how does the process start? What kind of doctors are involved in kind of the whole process, figuring out?
Because, you know, as long as doctors are involved, and I'm sure Witzig agrees with me on this, as long as doctors are involved, then they can't be wrong, right? Because doctors are fucking medical doctors, dude, right? So they are never wrong.
What surgeries someone is going to have, how to go about them. What does that process look like?
There is an organized process for this. There's a professional society. It's called the World Professional Association for Transgender Health. It's a multidisciplinary society, meaning many types of physicians and stakeholders are.
Wait, I got to hear that one again. So we got to look that up.
There is an organized process for this. There's a professional society. It's called the World Professional Association for Transgender Health.
The World Professional Association for Transgender Health. Okay. So the World Professional. Oh, look at that. It even filled it in for me. That's how popular these motherfuckers are. Okay, here we go. WPATH. It almost spells wrath. Isn't that funny? Registration is now open. Marbella, Spain, February 18th through 20th. At least it's not on my birthday. Thank God. What a bunch of gay crap. Sorry. Okay, yeah. So there you go. There's RAF, WPATH. World Professional Association of Transgender Health. So I wonder, Control A, what is WPATH federal funding amount? Oh, they're a 501c3 nonprofit. Okay. 501c3 nonprofit means they don't have to pay taxes. So they're basically like a fucking religion is what they're saying. Oh, that's interesting. So while they don't get any federal funding, they kind of get the equivalent of a subsidy, don't they? Because if you don't have to pay taxes as an organization, you know, if you're awarded that status of 501c3, they're basically, you're the same thing as a church, right? Am I wrong here, y'all? Tell me in the chat. If I'm way wrong, say in the chat, in all caps, Morgile's a fucking idiot. Maybe I'm wrong. If not, then just, you know, then just shut up. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. I don't know. Okay, so there's WPATH. Right. Okay.
multidisciplinary society, meaning many types of physicians and stakeholders are involved in the society and in the creation of guidelines that a lot of medical providers and surgical providers use to be able to help guide patients through the process. And so there are a lot of
she means funnel people into her wallet is what she meant.
Guidelines are recommended and they're to be used as a framework for providers. And one of the requirements are that, so for patients that are seeking surgery, they should be engaged in some sort of mental health. So some sort of counseling with mental health specialists who are well-versed.
Isn't that how it always works though? You have to get a shrink to sign off on it, right? That way she's not culpable. She's not liable because a shrink signed off on it, right? So because a shrink signed off on it and said, yeah, this motherfucker's got a clean bill of health. Yeah, the guy that wants to cut his dick off is perfectly sane. Yeah, so you can do it, and there's no sort of there's no sort of recourse if the guy later on down the road realizes, oh, well, he was fucking insane for a couple of years or whatever, right? Wow.
In transgender care, in gender non-conforming care, who understand what it means to be transgender and to know what kind of care those patients need. Often those providers
what kind of care those patients need is the kind of care that can only be afforded with big old fat bank accounts or really good insurance, right?
Referrals, and specifically they'll write letters that use the terminology that's needed to really help patients obtain the next.
And to me, like, sorry to interrupt this bullshit again, but isn't it like this whole thing is called health essentials? So like the fact that this is being presented to people by medical doctors as something healthy it's just a huge travesty. Like it is a huge malfunction of the entire concept of the Hippocratic Oath and the medical system. Like, what the fuck? Like, how did we get here, dude? Honestly, how did we get here? Like, oh my God. Because shit wasn't like this that long ago, honestly. And like, if you go back just a few decades, like say the 1950s, if like a presidential candidate was ousted as having like an affair against his wife, like he would be, disallowed from running. I mean, I guess that's probably how they filtered out the average Joe decent people and kept their Illuminati asshole guys the only ones in the running. But I don't know. Don't listen to me. What the fuck do I know?
Steps of care if they choose to pursue those steps, and those include medical care, so hormone therapy to affirm themselves. Those hormones are called gender affirming hormones, and then also surgical.
Gender affirming hormones, yeah. So you want to make sure and take the hormones out of your body that God gave you naturally, right? And artificially inject some other hormones that belong to like a fucking cow or something, right? Or some other person, maybe a cadaver, maybe a cow, who knows? And put those into your body. That's affirming anything? No, dude. Again, so like this is the industrialization of mental illness. Wow. And it's almost as if the fucking the loonies are running the asylum, isn't it?
Care as well. And most providers who offer surgical services to patients will ask their patients to have been on gender affirming hormones for at least a year. A really sort of good part of the process too is to have patients self-express as their identified self-identity.
Basically what she's doing here, so this is being presented as like a grassroots sort of hangout, but what this crazy bitch is doing here is giving crazy motherfuckers that got it in their head they might want to cut their dick off, she's giving them a literal roadmap on how to do it, right? So this is literally her sales funnel in action. I mean, it is a brilliant marketing strategy. I mean, it really helps to have psychiatrists sign off on shit and medical doctors, okay things, isn't it? I mean, that really does help your sales pitch. But at the end of the day, when these people have lost their fucking mind.
By gender for a year as well, to make sure that they're comfortable in those circumstances, that they sort of want to continue pursuing some more of the irreversible changes that we have to offer them. Once a patient has done that and has had good mental health care and
irreversible changes that we have to offer them. Like, and really, like, I understand elective surgeries for reconstruction, and if you lost your vagina in a fire or something. But I don't know, to call this madness affirmation therapy and to call this madness reconstructive therapy is yeah, special place in hell. Like I really do. I pray that this woman sees the error of her ways and repents at some point. Because I mean, I just hate to see, you know, the devil's sales funnel right into the depths of fucking hell. I mean, I hate to see that.
Has good control of any comorbid medical conditions or mental health conditions, then they're essentially ready for the different procedures that we have to offer them. So it's a process. I always tell patients, when patients seek care and they're right at the beginning and they haven't done anything, I say it's usually minimum a year, but for most patients it's a couple of years until they're ready to really
and again,
undergo
like,
some of the more
I don't know. Call me a good judge of character, but I can kind of tell by looking in this woman's eyes as she speaks that she really doesn't believe none of the shit that she's saying, but she does have her script down pat, right? So it is a script. Even for medical doctors, it's a script. And as long as you stick to the FDA, you know, USDA approved script or whatever, then you're good. You don't have any risk of losing your license. Now, if she was to go off script and say, you know, don't do it. Embrace yourself, love yourself. You know, love the body that God gave you. Your body is your temple. You know, acceptance is a wonderful hurdle to overcome. If she was to sort of start talking like that, then she would lose her license, right? And she would definitely be blackballed by the totally sensible and well-rounded LGBTQ community.
Reversible parts of transition.
Got it. So it sounds like it's really a team effort, you know, between a lot of medical professionals and the patient themselves. Something that you mentioned just now is, you know, the importance of transgender patients speaking with doctors who are culturally competent in trans care. Studies continue to show that many transgender individuals are wary of the healthcare system, specifically because many healthcare providers are not yet trained in providing culturally competent trans care.
Because many healthcare providers have not drank the trans Kool-Aid, right? That's really what she's saying, isn't it?
What should a transgender person look for in a surgeon or other sort of team of doctors to ensure that they are speaking with medical professionals who truly understand them and the sort of...
To make sure that they're speaking with medical professionals who are willing to facilitate your mental illness for a nominal fee. And if you have insurance, then you might not have to pay anything, right?
Needs that they may have.
That's a great question. So presumably when patients are seeking care from surgeons who are specifically performing gender affirmation surgery, usually that's a very sort of safe environment. It's usually somebody who has cared for that group of patients for a while, or at least really sort of understands that group of patients. That's been sort of my personal experience and understanding. Same thing when they're looking for specific gender affirmation care. So when patients are looking for hormones, usually the providers who are offering.
So, okay, so I eat my words. She did mention hormones. She brought it up. Okay, but let's see. I mean, she's already kind of skirting it and downplaying it, isn't she? But let's just see. Let's see what she says about the hormones. Because she is a surgeon, right? Or she represents a group of surgeons, I reckon.
Bring hormone therapy to patients, also sort of know trans care and understand the verbiage and have already established that environment that makes patients feel safe. The real sort of nuance and the challenge that patients have is when they're looking for sort of routine care, or somebody has already transitioned and they've moved and now they're looking for a primary care provider or family medicine provider or gynecologist.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so you got your sexual reassignment surgery and now you moved, and now you need to find a woke doctor that's willing to cotton to your mental illness. That's probably going to be hard, right? Because like when you do these sort of elective surgeries and plastic surgeries, like one of the natural things is your body tries to reject the the foreign matter out of your body. And so one of the things that a lot of these elective surgery recipients have to deal with for the rest of their lives is, hey baby, here comes Noodle. Y'all want to see Noodle? Come here, Noodle.
Here, Lily.
Come on. Go.
Here.
Here comes Noodle. Yeah, shut the door, please. Did you already walk her?
No.
Oh, were you gonna walk her?
I was gonna wait on you.
Oh, did she gotta go out?
No, she just wanted to come see Daddy.
Okay. Well, I kind of lost my train of thought there, but shit. Let me just back it up a hair and see exactly where I was, what she just said.
Offering hormone therapy to patients also sort of know trans care and understand the verbiage and have.
Oh, right. So they traveled to another doctor. Yeah, and it must be hard to find another medical doctor that's willing to participate in your psychotic, self-destructive delusion, right? And so, oh my God. Oh my God. Okay.
Okay, she's gonna bite you.
Can you please walk her? Or you want down?
Yeah.
Can you get her some chick?
Shut up! I just did.
Oh, you did? Oh my God, I dropped her. Sorry, y'all.
You dropped her 2 inches.
Well, she wasn't expecting it. Okay.
She's supposed to be nosy.
Sorry, y'all. Okay. Anyway, I fucking lost the point, but we'll just keep going. And honestly, I don't know how much more of this thing I can sit through.
Environment that makes patients feel safe. The real sort of nuance and the challenge that patients have is when they're looking for sort of routine care or.
Okay, so for anyone just joining us, and for Mina, hey, hi. That is a medical doctor that specializes in gender affirmation therapy. And by gender affirmation, we mean like a dude that wants to cut his dick off.
Shut up.
Okay, anyway.
Somebody has already transitioned and they've moved and now they're looking for a primary care provider or family medicine provider or a gynecologist or even a subspecialist,
And like the level of crazy, like the fact that a medical doctor is going on the record blatantly proclaiming this shit as medical facts and like this is okay. This is my point. Like it's okay for this thing to say it's okay to cut your junk off, but it's not okay for me to show you how like this specific ointment that I put on my dog or on myself or drink or whatever, and it heals you on all kinds of different shit. That's illegal, and I can get my YouTube channel taken down for that, dude. And I'm gonna still put the video up. I just can't tell you what it is. So, like, if you want to know the cure for cancer, and if you want to know like the cure for pretty much everything else, it's 2 separate things. Hit me up privately, man. But I can't tell you on here. But this crazy thing can tell you all about cutting your dick off for a nominal fee, unless you have insurance, and then it might be free for you.
Someone needs to get their knee replaced. And part of the individual's medical history is
somebody needs to get their knee replaced, or say somebody needs a vagina in the place of their cock and balls.
Their trans status and the fact that they have had certain organs removed or still have certain organs, and in some cases it's important to
certain organs. Don't you love the euphemisms? So like this female has certain organs that she needs removed. Well, what certain organs do you mean, doctor? Oh, she needs her penis and cock and balls removed.
Who you are and where you've been, and that being transgender is part.
I'm sorry, y'all. It makes me sick, and I kind of have to joke it off because it's just the whole thing is fucking sickening.
Part of your medical history because of the treatments you've undergone. Some of the hormones patients are on are dangerous at the time of surgery, and they shouldn't still be on those hormones leading up to surgery. And so they need to tell their doctors this. So it's when patients are seeking quote unquote regular care that they really need to sort of seek people who are what we call either, gender affirming friendly, transgender friendly, trans friendly, LGBT.
Gender affirming friendly. Dude, anybody that's cut your dick off friendly, I don't want nothing to do with them.
BT friendly. Often, as we've evolved in healthcare, that sort of allyship or friendly or friend.
Shit. There goes Lily. Hold on. This friendly stuff is so interesting. Like, wow, medical doctor, dude. Hey, maybe we should get Witsit Gets It on this one because she's a medical doctor, yo. Yeah, dude, medical doctor. Whoop-de-fucking-do.
LGBT friendly care is now demonstrated either on people's websites. It's sort of made very clear, but it becomes hard. And so I encourage patients when they leave sort of our practice and they're done with sort of their transition journey with us, I tell patients, when you call an office, you should just feel comfortable and easily ask, I'm seeking this service. I'm curious as to whether or not your office is LGBT friendly or
Yeah, I mean, you better use some weird language if you're no, I'm sorry, you better shout it from the rooftops if you're wanting some kind of weird, like, could you imagine, dude? Like, what a bizarre predicament, honestly. Like, I do feel for these people. But you know, when you see these medical doctors condoning it, it is just a certain type of sickening, which is a difficult pill to swallow, especially in such a, you know, presentable package. Like, but again, I have a hard time believing that this woman agrees with this shit behind closed doors in her actual mind. Like, surely she knows she's just doing this for the money. Or maybe she's actually believing her own lies and she actually believes she's helping these people to mutilate themselves, permanently dismember themselves, oftentimes permanently eliminate their chances to have children. Yeah, I don't know, dude. Like, that's playing with fire. You know, one of the things Yeshua said was to even mislead or like lie to a child is like, you might as well, you're better off tying a millstone or like a big giant stone to your neck and casting yourself off of a ship into the ocean, right? And that's just deceiving a child. So I don't know, to facilitate the psychoactively stunted self-mutilation of a child, to me seems slightly worse, right? Slightly worse. So you better get a couple of millstones, lady, is all I'm saying. You know, I don't know. And I hate to sound all holier than thou, sorry. But I don't know. To profit off of one's mental illness and permanently disfiguring God's creation it's a slippery slope to tread. Just saying.
Transgender friendly. And do you see transgender patients? It's really okay to ask that over the phone. And I think more and more the response is, of course, and yes, we do. If a practice...
More and more the response is, yes, of course we do, because the insurance companies are paying for it. One of the things that was brought up in the ad campaigns for Kamala for president was she was wanting to give this shit out, these sort of surgeries out for free to prison inmates, which is like, really? Like, wow. So you can't get a PlayStation in prison, but you can get your dick cut off for free?
Just says, oh, no, we don't, or that's not something that we do. I always urge patients to seek care elsewhere because it's very clear that that practice will likely not be as culturally competent as the patient desires and
I mean, she is very well put together and presented, but if you didn't know what she was talking about, you would think like dibs, dude, right? But when you realize that she's actually kind of lying to herself, and like the look in her eye right there says it all, where I've got it freeze framed here. She doesn't even believe her own lies. She knows she's full of shit, but you know, the money, baby. Bling, bling, right?
Got it. So in a sort of similar vein, let's talk a little bit about what to stay away from when it comes...
Stay away from these crazy bitches right here, dude, for reals.
To seeking an office or a doctor for surgeries in particular. Sometimes transgender patients turn to so-called practices or offices that aren't actually qualified to provide the care that they claim. Why is it so important for trans patients to see reputable healthcare professionals for their gender affirmation surgeries and other healthcare concerns? And what are some of the risks associated with going elsewhere?
So in general, I think medical care is pretty universal, and it's, you know, you want to be...
Medical care is pretty universal. Like, it's illegal to smoke a joint still in some states, but it's totally legal to snip it. To me, that's crazy, dude. Like, the fact that this woman is not behind bars, and like, there's a couple of cocaine dealers that I knew in the 90s that are still behind bars. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. Nobody was ever like deceived into buying cocaine. That's all I'm saying.
Cared for by,
I mean, unless it was like gold powder bags, right?
physicians
The metal bond gold powder. What is it? What is
providers.
it called? Shit, I don't know.
Practice evidence-based medicine, who understand the latest recommendations, who dose hormones at certain doses that have been shown to be both efficacious and safe. And so it's really important to go to a practice that either has already sort of reputation amongst the trans community of being a really good practice.
Basically, she's saying her practice, like, come to us, dude. We'll cut your dick off on the cheap. And we got, dude, I got a shrink that's my cousin that's in the next office over there that'll sign off on it, right? So like, and what kind of insurance do you have? Though that's the main question. Like, do you have a lot of cash or how's your insurance? Like, she's not doing these things pro bono, I promise you.
Or that just has providers who are...
She's not just cutting dudes' dicks off out of the kindness of her heart, you guys, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Well-versed in that type of care. That professional society I mentioned earlier, the World Professional Association of Transgender Health, offers several times a year this course called the Global Foundations. It's a foundation course, their global education initiative. Which teaches providers, all sorts of providers, mental health providers.
By the way, this stream is brought to you by Flat Earth Farms in NorCal. Dig so fire, you'll realize the Earth is flat. Buy some for your globe-tard friends at select California distribution centers. Or maybe one day we can order online too. We're working on it.
Medical providers, surgical providers, the basics and foundations of transgender care. I think we're getting to a place where eventually individuals will need to be.
Sorry, I'm just like this. I'm drowning this thing out. We're gonna switch from her in a minute. We got an article we're gonna read, but I'm not hiding my bowl from the camera. I am smoking a bowl of pot, but I have a fan going here to cool the computer, so I have to like go this way to light it. So. Anyway, I know it's very disrespectful of myself to be a pothead, but I can't hide it from y'all. I'm a pothead, bro.
At least credentialed by the society, and patients will be able to ask, have you taken this course and are you certified to actually take care of transgender patients?
Are you certified to actually take care of transgendered patients? I don't know. Do you have boxing gloves?
Not there yet, but I imagine we will be. But patients should ask providers, how many patients do you see a year? Is this something that you do routinely in your practice? Do you practice evidence-based medicine?
Because that's all she does. That's all her practice does is transgender stuff. She's definitely like, this is her sales funnel. I really can't watch it much more. I mean, there has been some pretty enlightening things, but I think I'm going to make the executive decision and just fuck on away from this crazy bitch, dude. Honestly, I can't look at her no more. Unless y'all got any lotion. No, I'm kidding. Totally kidding. Okay. So let's switch on over to the Bathory article because I do believe this is a bit timely. And this is sort of changing gears a bit. A lot of people get the impression that the Transpocalypse is a new thing, but it has been going on for a long time. So let's read a little bit about Lady Bathory and read between the lines, because this is not an open transgender in history, but I think it might be a secret tranny in history. So Elizabeth Bathory was born August 1560. She died in 1614 in the castle in Hungary, now Slovakia. She was a Hungarian countess who purportedly tortured and murdered hundreds of young women in the 16th and 17th centuries. Bathory was born into prominent Protestant nobility in Hungary. Her family controlled Transylvania, and her uncle, Stephen Bathory, was king of Poland. She was raised at the family castle in Ecsed, Hungary. In 1575, she married Count Ferenc Narasdi, That motherfucker was nasty. A member of another powerful Hungarian family, and subsequently moved to Castle Kastistir, a wedding gift from the Nadasti family from 1585 to 1595. Could you imagine getting a castle as a wedding gift? Wow, dude. Dude, I didn't get anything. Not one single thing. Nothing. I mean, whatever. I'm not complaining, but I would have much rather got a castle than nothing. Just saying. Okay. After Nadasti's death in 1604, rumors of Bathory's cruelty began to surface. Though previous accounts of the murder of peasant women had apparently been ignored, the claims in 1609 that she, Bathory, had slain women from noble families attracted attention. You can murder the plebs all day, dude, but when you start like scratching the toes of the rich and the nobles, that's when you've got problems, right? So her cousin Georgi, her cousin Guy Orgy Thurzo, Count Palatine of Hungary, was ordered by Matthias, then King of Hungary, to investigate. The Count Palatine determined, after taking depositions from people living in the area surrounding Bathory's estate, that Lady Bathory had tortured and killed more than 600 girls with the assistance of her servants. On December 30th of 1609, Bathory and her servants were arrested. The servants were put on trial in 1611, and 3 of the servants were executed. Although never tried, Bathory was confined to her chambers at Castle Kastis. She remained there until she died, allegedly, right? So isn't that interesting? Like, they put to death the innocent victims of this bitch, her servants, but they just let her live out her days. And they probably gave her some sort of a stipend of girls to eat, right? Or whatever she did. Okay, so, excuse me, pardon me. While documents from the 1611 trial supported the accusations made against her, modern scholarship has questioned the veracity of these allegations. Bathory was a powerful woman, made more so by her control of Nadasti's holdings after his death. The fact that a large debt owed by Matthias to Bathory was canceled by her family in exchange for permitting them to manage her captivity suggests that the acts attributed to her were politically motivated slander that allowed the relatives to appropriate her lands, right? So what they're saying is, this would be like if Diddy claimed, oh, they framed me because my relatives wanted my money. That's the sort of defense that they're saying. I don't know, maybe it's true. I mean, that is a motive, isn't it? I mean, it's a potential motive. It does cast a shadow of doubt, doesn't it? Anyway, serial killers or serial murderers are criminals. Oh, wait a minute. So this is a whole other article. Never mind. I'm about to sit here and fucking start blind reading an article that I was never planning on reading. But so there's a little bit about Bathory, although, I don't think that really sums it up. From what I remember in my research of Lady Bathory was that she liked to bathe in the blood of girls. Okay. And we know that synthetic estrogen or estrone was synthesized in, I want to say 1935. Testosterone was synthesized a little bit after that, although through the blood of willing donors or even through the blood of victims, you could potentially, hypothetically, harvest or farm hormones of the opposite sex is what I'm saying, right? So the reason that I'm bringing up Lady Bathory in this context is because what if it was more than just she thought that if she rubbed girls' blood on her, it would make her stay young? But what if it was he thought that if he drank and bathed in the blood of girls, he would become a she, right? Because again, this whole transgender agenda goes way back further than the early 90s or what a lot of people believe. let's get into the castratos. You know, I've talked about it in other streams, and I don't know, like if you do your research, if you do your diligence, the whole transgender agenda is nothing new. In fact, there is nothing new under the sun, isn't it true? Anyway, continuing on with the article. No, we're done with that article. Wow, we're just flying through this. And I'm trying to estimate like how long we've gone based on how many peas I've taken, but I'm also drinking cold beer, so that's not exactly the best indicator. Dude, did I lose my cold beer? I think I lost my cold beer. There it is. Okay. We're good. We are good. Okay. There we are. So let's stop sharing that. I did have a bunch of slides I wanted to share with y'all, man. Oh no, I did the slides. We did the video shares. Bro, I think we covered everything. Except for my notes here. So here we go. I got a whole page full of notes. We're gonna go through these and then we're done. Okay. So 2 hours and 18 minutes. That don't seem right. What time did we start at noon? Yeah, fucking ain't right, bro. Damn right. Ballin', bro. All right. Pee break. I'm out of beers. Pee break, and then I'll be right back. We're gonna go through my notes here, and then we're done. So we probably got about another 20 minutes left on this bad boy, y'all. All right, I'll be right back. Yeah, so what I will do, so you don't have to just stare directly at my ugly mug, while I'm going through my notes, I'm just going to pull up slide. Oh, I stopped sharing my screen though, didn't we? Okay, so let me come back to this. Share. Sharing the screen. Right, okay, so changing gears yet again. When it comes to the so-called transvestigations, the reason that I do them is not to like out people and their secrets. It's not to shame anyone. It's not because I like really have anything against trainings, dude. I really don't. Like that's cool. Like do your thing, bro. Like it's your immortal soul, not mine. It's your deal. To each his own. Right? It's not my job to police what other people do. But at the same time, when you have this sort of cultural milieu that is geared towards fucking with people's heads and confusing people about like their bodies and their own selves, it really needs to be exposed and come to light. Okay, and so from that angle, beyond the glim and glamour of the big screen, beyond the hair, beyond the makeup, beyond the big boobs, beyond the persona and the bravado, beyond all that, there is sort of an underlying skeletal structure, right? And not only is that underlying skeletal structure like metaphorical, right, for this whole thing, but it's also literal, right? So like the underlying skeletal structure does not lie. Now, when you start talking about the castratos, which I mentioned earlier, but I'll just give you a real quick rundown. Castrato goes way back to like ancient Rome, where it's you know like soprano, alto, tenor. You know, you have these different descriptions of one's natural vocal ranges. But then you also have this thing called castrato, which what they do is they take a prepubescent boy and they castrate him before he goes through puberty, and basically they turn him into a singer, right? And basically what happens is, because the male never goes through male puberty because they cut his nuts off, probably against his wishes, his lungs never develop into the lungs of a male. And so the castrato has the lungs of a child, but the voice box of a male. I'm sorry, I got that backwards. The castrato has the lungs of a male, but the voice box of a child. The voice box never goes through the changes of puberty because they cut the nuts off so early, right? And so, and you can look it up there's even on YouTube, there's examples of castratos. And I would say, change of subject, isn't it a shame that Whitney Houston died? Changing back to the other subject just randomly. You know, so this has been going on for a long time, okay? And while they can dress up the hair and the makeup, they can put boobs on a thing, you can put lipstick on a pig, you can even do hormone replacement therapy and very like extensive surgeries and even like CIA masks in order to trick people into thinking that you're something that you're not, okay? But at the end of the day, all of those things that I just mentioned that are in place to fool we stupid people, the underlying skeletal structure never lies. That's the point. And so, like, there are fundamental differences between a male and a female skull. There are fundamental differences between a male and a female skeleton. And, you know, no matter how much money is spent or how much attention is given towards tricking us into thinking these people are the opposite sex for whatever motive, look at the underlying skeletal structure on any and all of your transvestigation efforts is my point. So let's talk about the motives behind this thing. We've already talked about the body dysphoria. It is a way to get otherwise healthy and mentally stable people into really quite loathing themselves, right? Because you're comparing yourself to an unattainable goal, right? Excuse me. Getting over a bit of a chest cold. But so like when you've got the teenage girl that's looking in the magazines at Miss America or at the supermodels that have these big boobs and unattainably small, you know, waistlines and abs. And then they go and become bulimic and ultimately commit suicide, you know. That's a story that has happened like so many fucking times, you can't even count it on all your fingers and toes if there was a million of you. It's like a never-ending story. It's probably happening right now every so many minutes, right? Like another beautiful young girl, thick motherfucker too, just killed herself because she thought that she was supposed to look like I Love Lucy or Pamela Anderson, right? You beautiful girl, don't do it. You're supposed to be thick. Girls are supposed to be thick. Look at the Q angle, like at the bottom right of the slide right here. The Q angle is wider on a chick because she's supposed to have the birth canal in there. Dudes don't have birth canals because, newsflash, dudes don't have babies, right? So, I mean, that kind of goes without saying, but now if you're a dude, you can actually affirm your gender to the max by cutting your dick off, but you're still not going to have a baby. That's my point, right? No matter how much you identify with a pregnant woman or as a pregnant woman, it's never going to happen. You know what I mean? We talked about Baphomet. So we're just going through my notes here, y'all. I told you that's what I was doing, didn't Baphomet, you know, let's pull up in case y'all that don't know, I'm sure pretty much everybody that's watching this right now knows all about some mofo Baphomet, but let's just pull up an image so we know. I misspelled it, that's okay. Yeah, so like here you go, that's Baphomet. This is what these crazy motherfuckers emulate. You're dealing with Satanists, right? You're dealing with generational satanic ritual abuse. Let me pull this up so as y'all can see it here. So yeah, that's Baphomet right there. So this is like sort of the poster child or like the emblem of the Satanists. You know, female breasts, male phallus, with the big old goat mask on. It definitely dovetails into the whole "my pet goat" thing, which was, you know, what George W. Bush was doing when 9/11 happened. So like everybody remembers what they were doing when 9/11 happened, right? I was working at Denny's waiting tables, and George W. Bush was publicly reading a book about my pet goat, right? So I don't know, but so there you go. That's Baphomet. That's this is where this whole thing goes back to, is like these motherfuckers are worshiping the devil, and they want to basically pervert and undermine the creation of the Most High. And the more people that they can get along with it is the more people that they're dragging to an infinity of hell with them, right? As crazy as that sounds, that's what I truly believe. Like, I probably can't prove that sort of thing to you, but I will attest to it as my belief, for lack of a better word. But so again, look at the underlying skeletal structure of the skull. This isn't about exposing people. This is about exposing an agenda that is detrimental to all people. And we need to nix it from our motherfucking milieu, dude. Like, what a waste of time. Then, you know, and if people want to do this kind of thing, like, and get their rocks off on their own little corner of shit, that's fine. But you can't demand the rest of us participate in your delusion. You know what I mean? Like, fuck off with that. Excuse my language. And I am a few courses in, dude. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. When I get a couple of courses in me, my brain to mouth filter goes from slim to none. So enjoy that. Let's go to this other slide here. Yeah, so we're gonna burn it out on this one here. Yeah, we talked about generational satanic ritual abuse. So, I mean, I've mentioned before, but like, you know, I see these people as victims, man. I see these people as victims. I'm trying to do preview. I can't find it. Sorry. Here we go. Once you know what to look for, it gets kind of obvious. When it comes to the very high-profile secret trannies, they do a lot to sort of cover up the actual proportions. Whether it's like, so like the proportions of the long bones, so like the proportion of this bone to that bone, and like the proportion of this bone to your femur down here. Like there's a science to it. So like, no, there's no hard and fast rules to male and female relative body proportions, but there are some sort of rules of thumb, right? And once you know what to look for on the underlying skeletal structure, transvestigations become very easy because you can't change your skeleton, right? Now, they will go so far as to, like, from what I've read, from what I gather, they will like actually remove portions of their bones to make the proportions right. They will remove like their bottom ribs to make the hourglass figure more believable. They'll do the Brazilian butt lifts. They'll do all that stuff. There is no end to what they will do to convince y'all that they are of the opposite sex for whatever reason. I mean, obviously they're fucked in the head, but I think there's more to it than that too. I mean, it's like it's their religion, isn't it? Otherwise, how could people like that doctor we just responded to get 501c3 status if it wasn't their religion, right? You know, just to mention real quick, I think, and you know, nothing against the ladies that are trying to look pretty and all, but in my opinion, the whole onslaught of female makeup is a result of the trannies wanting to blend in. So of course they're going to change the cultural milieu to where, like, if you're a chick that doesn't spend an hour putting on makeup in the morning, you're the weird chick. Okay. Personally, and I've always felt this way, I've always been way more attracted to chicks that don't really wear any makeup. Maybe a little bit of cover up or like foundation or something if you've got a zit that you're embarrassed in. Not because I don't think your zit's sexy, but because I think that it's way more sexy of a chick for a chick to be confident that nobody can see that zit, even though we can totally see it. Okay, even with the cover up and the foundation and everything. But it doesn't matter because it boosts your confidence. So that's fine. I'm cool with that, right? Whatever, to make your, because like there's nothing more sexy than a confident woman, right? But to call cutting your breasts off as a woman gender affirmation surgery, to me, like, these people should be locked up and the key should be thrown away. Bust out the fucking wood chipper is falling, as far as I'm concerned, really. But really, I do believe that the whole push in the last, I don't know how many decades or generations, like females wearing makeup, comes from the cabaret transgenders trying to blend in with real women, right? Yeah, we talked about the various stage actors, so like Japan, China. You even have like the Indian priest class that were sort of like actors in a way that were trans. So like it's nothing. There's nothing new under the sun, right? But for medical doctors who took a Hippocratic oath to participate in these delusions because a shrink signed off on it, because corporate lobbyists are basically run by the fucking devil, dude, shame on all y'all, bro. Shame on all y'all, dude. For real. Oh, that's Diddy's mama right there, by the way, in case y'all didn't know. Yeah, that was a pregnant woman once, according to the mainstream narrative. And I totally believe that. Obviously, as a woman. Beautiful woman. Never had a dick, that one. For real. Okay, sorry. We talked about Lady Bathory. You know, another one that y'all can look up on your own time is the Marquis de Sade. Nothing new about this craziness, man. Okay, we talked about skeletal structure, the Photoshop slides, YouTube gender. Dude, bang, bang, bang. That's everything. We covered everything. Dude, that's why they pay me the big bucks, bro. No, really though, I just like hanging out with you guys. Nobody pays me anything. Nobody ever will, probably, but that's cool because I hate money. Like, it's not that I don't like nice things and affluence and respect that comes with money, right? But the fact that the non-federal, non-reserve, non-bank is a scam that has been stealing our money for over 100 years and putting that money into the pockets of motherfuckers like this that are pushing these agendas forward. No, I would much rather do without money, go back to a barter system or something, if this is what the end result of the richest country that the world has ever known, right? So yeah, but there you go. Sandra Bullock. Oh, this one over here, that's Beyonce's mama. You know, again, I see these people as victims, dude. Like, that's sad. It's so sad. And I'm not saying like we're talking about obvious trannies, but my God, obviously, right? There goes some of y'all's favorite Sandra Bullock's. And again, like it goes back to in my opinion, since the big screen. My grandmother emulated Lucille Ball's makeup job, and my grandmother was almost certainly a real woman. She gave birth to my dad, right? So I don't know, man. The painted on eyebrows, the painted on lips, the shoulders wide as a linebacker. Certain things start to give it away if you just know what to look for. Again, if you know how to look past the hair and the makeup and look at the underlying skeletal structure, you're not going to be fooled. Even on the ones that were, prepubescently mutilated and affected by hormone replacement therapy. So be not deceived, my friends. I just hope that, if this message finds you well, maybe it will change one person's trajectory on their transgender, arc, because this it's a sales funnel. In my opinion, the mainstream media is really, in a lot of ways, the devil's sales funnel into transpocalypse, right? So we will talk about this more in future streams, but I think we've covered everything now, you guys. I appreciate you hanging out with me, and I will check in on the chat again before we go. So let's just see how y'all crazy fools are doing in the chat. Yeah. Wow. So we did go up to 60 concurrent viewers at one point in time, and for whatever reason, we are down to 30. So I love y'all 30 the most, Nibble Horse especially. Good stuff to you. Thanks. I'm losing my voice now, and it's time for me to go walk Noodle again. Just look at the first woman in U.S. Congress. Well, I mean, I'm sorry to say, y'all, and I know there's a lot of Trump fans out there, but just look at Melania. I'm sorry to say, don't look at Melania. Look at the thing skeleton, dude. I'd love to be proven wrong on some of these, I really would. But unfortunately, it's just gotten to the point to where it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. It's in your face. And if y'all don't like me pointing it out, then I guess watch someone else. This isn't going to be all my videos, but I think it's an important topic, and I think it needs to be talked about more because a lot of people are very heavily affected by this on a permanent sort of level. And if we can shed some light on this and the cultural deception that it is, I think that's very important. So one love to y'all, even one love to the trannies. Happy birthday, Mom. Lisa, if you're watching, I even love you too, you crazy fucker. All right, one love, y'all. Be good, and I will try to end this stream now. Patreon, PayPal, Cash App, links in the description. Could sure use your help. Bye.